Hey guys, Yankee Prepper. Thought I'd give you an update on what I'm doing to get ready for this up-and-coming archery hunt at the St. Croix State Park. Now, I've been out a couple more times, and I'm going to show you actual video of that in a minute, but this time I'm taking it up a notch or two. I'm not just out looking for areas where I think deer are, but I'm actually looking for deer stand placement. Usually I would do all this right after the hunt last year. That's when you would want to do it, because everything, the deer are still running where they're running, and everything looks like it would during the hunt. So usually you do all this scouting, all this deer stand placement right after the hunt from last year. At the orientation, actually, they handed us out a map that they had specially printed for the hunters taking part in this hunt, and that goes to show you how much they really want to support this. It's a pretty nice map. It shows all the land cover, and it also is a topographical map. It's a lot better than I can get off Google Maps, let's say, or even the map they usually hand out at the park. And I love maps. I mean, I think it's a guy thing. I love looking over maps, and it definitely does help and saves time when scouting out an area. But nothing replaces boots on the ground, being able to see the environment for what it is. There are some really good sources online for free topographical maps. My favorite is CalTopo. I thought I'd mention that as well. That's CalTopo.com. And you can get really good topographical information. That kind of helps you pick out an area to hunt. Winds are coming north and northwest in the fall in this area, so you always keep that in mind most of the time. That doesn't mean it's going to be like that every time, most of the time, but if you're hunting for scent cover, you can use structure or high points to cover yourself, or even put the high point to your back. I'm hunting in one of the highest areas of the park. Everything pretty much goes down to the river from here. This is the St. Croix River, and this is the highest area in the park, and that's the part that I picked. I originally was looking at some of the blowdown area, and I was looking at the riverfront. I thought there were some good places at the riverfront, but honestly I think that's where most of the hunters are going to go, and I just want to get away from them. That's the reason why I just kind of steered away from that. The blowdown area I liked. I seen a lot of sign, but I don't like hunting from a blind as much. So it's just personal preferences. I'd rather be up in a tree, and so I decided against the blowdown area, and I kind of centered on this forest area up here. Off the service road, my first blind is probably 500 yards in. I'm going to hunt shallow first, and then if I don't have any success, I'll go deeper in. My second blind is maybe 1,000 yards, and my deepest blind I've actually got picked out for a mile. And I will drag a deer out that far, but you got to keep that in mind. The deeper you go, if you do get a deer, you got to drag it out that far. I'd rather not do that. There's a lot of deer within that first 500 yards, and that's what I'm shooting for. Anyway, let's go on these scouting trips to see how I'm going to place my deer stand. Okay, I'm back on that service road through the woods. You can tell the service road gets very little traffic except for animals. And I'm carrying in some salt blocks. You can't legally bait in Minnesota, but you can throw down mineral and salt blocks. I'm just walking down this service road looking for animal trails. It's something else that you practice, and you can just build up the skill to be able to spot them. I stopped here because some pileated woodpecker have been hammering away at this. I love those birds. They're the woody woodpeckers. Here's a nice animal trail. And see, I'll just follow that back maybe 100 yards sometimes just to see what kind of traffic it's got. And I'm looking for trees that I can place a stand. This looks perfect for a climber. We'll go over that too. I'll go over what kind of stands I use in the next vid. This is a really nice trail. I'm definitely going to put a stand here. It goes way back there, and it's actually got food on the way for them. It's a real nice spot. Now it's up to you. I use game cams a lot. They can save you a lot of time to see, date, timestamp, to see how much traffic is actually going by. But you can lose them. People will steal them. I marked it with a GPS. This spot's real nice because it's backed up by a swamp, so they got access to water, but they can't come up from behind you. That's a big bonus. This is a great example of why it's a good idea to have different maps of the same area, or different overviews. In this case, Google Earth came through for me. None of the other maps, even the map that the rangers gave us, had this little clearing on it. A little clearing out here in the middle of the forest. This is the service road that I've been using to access this area. You can kind of see where it opens and then the canopy closes up around it. That's where I put that first game cam, and that was my initial pick for where I was going to hunt from in the beginning of the hunt. But on the way back, I said if I have enough time, I marked a little GPS point here and here, and I thought I'm going to try to walk that 150 yards through the woods and see what that clearing's all about. And I'm glad I did. When I came in there, I had this beautiful grassy clearing. It had tons of food there, tons of trail, tons of bedding. This being the east where the sun comes up, it hits this side of the trees and it just warms that side up, and you could just see all the deer bedding there where they were sitting waiting for the sun to come up and hit them. Deer love that. So it ended up being my first choice for putting the stand up that I was going to hunt in the beginning of the hunt. Let me show you that. Using my map and GPS at home, I marked off how many yards it was from the beginning of the service road. And then using my smaller GPS in the woods, I just found those yards on there, turned south, and made a bearing for that bear patch through the woods. I was talking to one of the rangers at the orientation, and he says he's been involved in over 200 search and rescues in the last 10 years. Not just in this park, but in the state of Minnesota for lost hikers and hunters. It's pretty easy to get lost if you don't have the right equipment or just know how not to get lost. It all looks the same, and you can tell even in here I'm heading off bearing here and there because I have to dodge the trees, and that's usually what happens. People get mixed up. That's how people end up going in circles too. I'm sort of following an animal trail back here, which makes me even feel better about it. And it just leads to this bear patch. Couldn't believe it. And you can see how the sun's, this is the morning, so the sun's coming up in the east. And it hits that backdrop of trees, which the deer love. They love to get sunned up like that in the morning. You know, this is why I prefer to do this after the hunt last year. Got another salt block with me that I'm glad I carried in here because I definitely dropped it off. But see, I don't really like doing this, smashing around and crashing around back here. I'm trying to be quiet and careful, but I really don't like doing this before the hunt. I really don't have any choice because I've only got 3 weeks to find a place and set up. And this was worth the walk. Great big oak tree just putting out acorns everywhere. And check this out. Only a hunter can get excited about crap, but I had to freeze it. I wish I would have got a close-up of it. I mean, that's bigger than eye crap. In fact, you know, that looks like deer scat, but that might be bear. It's that big. I mean, that would hurt. It's a beautiful oak tree, great cover for a stand. And so this is definitely, this became, right now, at this very moment, it became my favorite spot. And I'm going with this. I got a nice patch in the middle of the woods here. I can see bedding, you know, everywhere. I can see bedding spots everywhere. And nice trails leading from different parts of the woods. I can see trails going through the grass. You know, I just love this scouting. It's, I said this before, but it's almost more fun than the hunt. I'll mark my spot here. You know, when you're just coming out hunting a deer stand every year, this really feels like hunting. I'm not saying one's better or worse than the other, but you know, for me, I really like this. This really feels like more of a hunt. I just found my bearing back to the service road. Made my way out of there. Hopefully, when I see you next time, I'll show you the stands I'm using, and I'll share with you some game cam pics.